All right, Unit 2B1, non-constitutional Congress notes. For each of these boxes, I'd like you to listen and then push the pause button and write these things in your own words, highlighting the most important things. You have access to these notes, obviously, so it'd be a little silly to write it down word for word. So there's a few ways that Congress has actually changed since the Constitution was ratified. The first three are amendments. The 17th Amendment was the direct election of senators. The 17th Amendment basically changed, or made the United States more sort of democratic, because previously, if you recall, the senators were elected by the legislators thereof, meant the state legislators actually chose who the national senators would be. This gave citizens an indirect path to choosing senators. However, the 17th Amendment, in the heart of the progressive movement, was ratified that said that there would be a direct election of senators, or a popular election, where the people would vote on the senators just like they would in the representatives. The 20th Amendment shortened what's called a lame duck period. A lame duck is a duck that walks, a duck that quacks, but a duck that doesn't fly. After the election in November, congressmen sometimes lost, the incumbents lost, and they were still congressmen until the following January, late January. So the 20th Amendment reduced that time period of their lame duck period by a few weeks down to January 3rd. The presidential inauguration was also moved from March to January, and because of the 20th Amendment, thus reducing the lame duck period of the president as well. The 27th Amendment was actually one of the original Bill of Rights that were proposed that had to do with congressional pay. Congress as a whole can pass laws and change the amount of money that people are paid within the government. So that obviously puts them in a personal conflict when they can decide their own wages. So the 27th Amendment, which was ratified in 1992, was limited the change. They didn't ever really limit how much money that they could make or the percentage of increase. All they did, all the 27th Amendment said was, listen, voters are going to be able to hold you accountable for your pay change. So when you pass a law, it cannot take effect, or when you pass a law about Congress people's pay, it cannot take effect until after the next election. Then the other things that have happened. I mean, each chamber set up its own rules, the committees. None of those things are listed in the Constitution. You read it. So those things have been developed over the last couple hundred years. So it's sometimes hard to remember that the Constitution doesn't outline everything. It just gives a real basic guideline, and the rest of the blanks have been filled in by Congress over the years. So all of these things are really cultural in the Congress. Each chamber has set up its own hierarchy, how to operate on a day-to-day basis. Each chamber has particular rules and words that they use for particular things. And of course, the powers that the Congress, aka the federal government, has expanded throughout the years through the Elastic Clause. So in the leadership of the House, you're going to need to know these. You have the Speaker of the House, which is currently a Republican, because they are the majority. The majority leader and the majority whip are below the Speaker of the House. The majority leader has a lot of power in the House and operates on it does a lot of the things on a day-to-day basis. The majority whip, the job of whip, the whip system is really, there's a series of people, the majority whip is the top one, who whips the other Congress people into shape, or really is a vote counter, and then tries to get people to vote along with them, with the rest of the party. The minority leader in the 2013 case is the Democrats. In the House of Representatives, after the 2012 election, there are 232 Republicans, giving them the majority, 200 Democrats, and then there are 3 seats vacant based on 2 people have resigned and another person was elected as a senator. So there'll be special elections later in 2013 to replace those members. The only position listed in the Constitution, Speaker of the House. Everything else has been created. So the people are John Boehner is the Speaker of the House. He's a Republican from Ohio. The majority leader is Eric Cantor from Virginia, and the majority whip is Kevin McCarthy. You are going to need to know these guys' last names, their party, and the state that they are from. Nancy Pelosi is the minority leader. In 2008, the Democrats actually won the House along with the presidency. Barack Obama won that election, that presidential election. And Nancy Pelosi made history as the first female majority party leader, as the Speaker of the House. She was the leader of the majority party at that time, which was the Democrats. Now there were the majority leader below her was Steny Hoyer, who is now the minority whip. So in 2010, however, Speaker John Boehner earned his title as the Republicans swept those elections in the House of Representatives, gaining a massive, historically speaking, a massive majority. And remember, the party itself picks the Speaker. There are some videos online that you can look to listen to Boehner and Pelosi speak, and a video of Rush Limbaugh speaking about Nancy Pelosi. He does not like her. You can watch those. I suggest that you watch those. So the President of the Senate and the President pro tempore are two positions in the Senate that are there, and they're the official leaders, but they're never really there. The President of the Senate is actually the Vice President of the United States, and he only shows up in procedural things like counting the Electoral College and in order to cast a vote if there's a tie in the Senate vote. The President pro tempore is really an honorary title that has been given to traditionally one of the longest serving members of the majority party, in this case the Democrats. The majority leader and the minority leader are closer to equals than the Speaker of the House and the minority leader in the House of Representatives. The majority leader does have control, but not by very much. Remember that this Senate is more of a collaborative House as opposed to a dictatorship. They have a whip system as well. In the United States Senate, there are 53 Democrats, 45 Republicans, and 2 independents. So this Democratic majority gives us what's called split government, where the Republicans control the House, the Democrats control the Senate, as well as the presidency. It makes it hard to pass a bill between the two chambers. Joe Biden is the guy on the left. He is from Delaware, but you'll have to remember that he's the vice president. The previous two President pro tempores have just sort of recently passed. Robert Byrd was a long time senator from West Virginia, and the most recent, Daniel Inouye, was a longtime senator. He passed away in the fall of 2012, unfortunately. He actually was a senator for every year that Hawaii had been a state. Hawaii earned statehood in 1959, and Daniel Inouye was a senator, a first-term senator for them, and he had continued to win it. The new President pro tempore is Patrick Leahy from Vermont. The majority leader is Harry Reid, Mitch McConnell from Kentucky, and there you have the two minority whips. You'll need to know these people's names, so make sure that you write them down. You'll have to pause it to get it. Again, some more videos, you'll notice that they're significantly more relaxed. Also, you'll notice that Harry Reid is speaking on the Senate floor, and there seems to be nobody in the room. And that's because most people watch it on their television in their offices, and typically there's very few people in the room when there's a speech given in the Senate. You don't need to write all of this down, but this is just for your own information. Each senator has and representatives has a whole staff, and it looks something like this. And the more important the senator or congressman is, or representative is, the bigger the staff is. They'll have some sort of chief of staff, they'll have a legislative director, and a whole bunch of interns and people to actually read the bills, because they're really long, and frankly the congressperson cannot actually go through every single bill that they have to vote on. Then oftentimes there's a press secretary and a scheduler, and then there's some district office back in their home districts. Go ahead and try to practice this without looking at the front side, maybe go ahead and flip your note page over and try to just name the positions without looking, and then try to put the names down, or just the states that they're from as a practice. The last part that you're going to have to do is go through your textbook on page 143 to 147 and just list out on your note sheet the different delegated powers. There's only one implied power, and the non-legislative powers from the reading. We're going to have a review that you're going to have to do this as well. But we've talked about most of this, so we're just formalizing it, please, on your paper.